Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. Get your feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
Welcome into the Piffles Podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast, episode 311, which is exactly 311 more than we thought we'd ever do.
That we deserve?
I mean, everybody deserves one show.
Oh, that's the rule of Spider-Man. Everyone gets one.
Yeah. We probably shouldn't have had more than one, but
The
here we are.
310 to follow have been a giant question mark.
So was the first one. Actually, if you go back and listen, do it, but don't. Yeah, it was something. Let me tell you that. Well, we are your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on YouTube, watching on SaskTel Max TV on demand. We appreciate that. Piffles Podcast, of course, brought to you by our great friends on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. As always, you got me. I'm Alex.
I'm Steve.
And I want to wish everyone a happy Rex Manning Day.
You were posting about that earlier. I did see that.
So, Empire Records is such an underrated movie, and maybe because it's just the generation I'm from, but it's a great
Read
movie.
old.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yes.
You're old.
I'm old. If I let this girl out, there's gray in it now, so that's why I keep it trim as best as I can.
Oh, yeah. See, I get a little bit of gray. I get more red, but I'm seeing more and more gray show up.
I just can't grow a beard to save my life. That's
You should try.
of any color. I used to have that chin strap. That was the
Oh,
most
no,
god awful thing I've ever
didn't.
done in my life. Oh, I did.
Just the chin.
It was-
No.
Oh, it was so bad.
Was
Yeah.
it Dustin Nielsen and his show? Is it Charch? That's what they call it? Charch?
Church.
Oh, I'm not sure. It was
Oh my
bad.
God.
It was awful.
I did have it
Fun.
once. I had the old Lemmy Triple H thing where I had that.
I remember
once.
that. I remember
I should
that.
do that again.
I was going to say, I have a feeling that's going to end up like that at some point.
Well, I'm past that itchy stage now, so it's just kind of just there. It's nice and fluffy. It's kind of nice. Anyway, this show is not about facial hair. That's our other show, but that's something else for you. Give us a follow on social medias. You know where to go. Piffles Pod, everywhere you go, we will be there. Piffles Podcast, proud to be sponsored by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's Tactical Laser Tag Experience, and Bigfoot Vodka as well. Sorry, Greg, and contractually, you have to do the line. Go ahead.
And I do not need nor want your pity follows at Greg on Sports.
Yeah. You can give Steve and I the pity follows. That's fine.
I'll take all of them.
Yes. Well, I don't know where to start. Well, with the Rough Riders, because there's not a lot. There's a couple signings we'll talk about, but we're gonna have fun with the upcoming draft, and we're gonna talk about draft picks and how it sucks to have the number one overall pick. Let's get things started here. This is the opening kickoff. Okay, well, since we last left you last week, we were talking about Trey Lance. And is there a possibility he will ever come to Saskatchewan because he was added to the Riders negotiation list? The very next day, as is prophecy, was it the next day? Maybe it was 2 days later.
A couple days later, I think it was just before the weekend. So
The commissioner was the next day.
Yeah.
Trey Lance, well, as of right now, he's not coming to Saskatchewan. Signed a nice fat contract with the LA Chargers of the NFL, worth up to like $6.3 million, and he's scheduled to be their third stringer. So I would do it for $5 million personally, but that's just me.
Mighty neighborly of you, Alex.
I'm a team player.
Is it? You have more championships than he does at quarterback.
I am a one-time winning quarterback, championship winning quarterback.
It's like there was more than one win.
But here's the thing, like we kind of expected this. Like we even said, I think last week that if he's here at the very earliest, like Labor Day at the very earliest, there's a good shot he's not here this year. Sometimes on those neg lists, you put them on the neg list and you hang on to them for years. Look at BC, the BC drafted Covington. Never mind. But look at there's a bunch of guys out there whose names are escaping me right now. But you put a guy on the neg list and you drop him. You pick him up, you drop him. It happens. We had Chase Claypool on our neg list since last year, and apparently we're talking to him again.
There's still hope.
There's still hope. But Trey Lance still is a young guy with some talent that a team was probably going to kick the tires on him. So let him. Is he going to see the field anytime soon? No, but there's been plenty of guys who made very good livings just holding a clipboard. So
Chase Daniel, Hall of Famer,
Absolute legend.
Yeah. Andrew Brandt, former CEO of the Packers or president, whatever he was. He's a great follow on Twitter, providing some insights. Has a business Hall of Fame, and Chase Daniels is on there right with Kirk Cousins. So if you can make all that money and not really have to do anything, you're in that Hall of Fame, and I want to be a part of that one day.
That'd be a good one to be a part of. Take no risk and make tens upon tens of millions of dollars.
It's like doing this podcast
Without the tens and tens
without
of
the
millions of
millions
dollars.
of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. That's just minor details.
We all should be holding a clipboard in the podcast world.
Put on the headset, grab a clipboard. Maybe it'll work. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so the dream of Trey Lance, at least for now, is put on hold for Rider Nation.
He's still young, and that's the thing though.
Yeah.
He's green, like he's super young. So he's going to chase that dream until he can't, and that's what Rourke did, and that's what all those guys have done. They've got to at least milk that NFL dream until it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, that was the big thing last week, obviously, at least rider wise. A couple signings adding to the roster. Defensive lineman Aaron Patrick. Now, this was a guy who actually tore his ACL when he was with the Denver Broncos, chasing a quarterback out of bounds or a player out of bounds in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. Slipped on one of the mats or something that was there. Tore his ACL to shreds. Tried suing the NFL. That didn't work. And he's basically been out of football since, and that was a couple of years ago. But this is a guy who has size he was an outside linebacker in the States, so that's basically defensive end here in Canada. So another guy for the defensive end competition. Obviously, that's still kind of a question mark. I mean, we have Malik Carney and Shane Ray penciled in as starters here, but they're going to need some depth here. So,
how many former Broncos do we need?
Oh, the Denver Broncos.
That is the quote I think of anytime anybody mentions the Denver Broncos.
And my good friend Rob Vanstone, also fellow Denver Broncos fan, he'll appreciate that.
And he got heated at the combine talking about the Broncos. I've never seen that man that angry.
Yeah, you want to get Rob Vanstone going. You talk Denver Broncos, but finally they're in a good spot. So, but anyway, Riders bringing in another defensive end for the competition. Steve, they're in a better spot than they have been. Yeah, come on.
For the Denver Broncos, they are in a good spot.
And probably maybe a more exciting signing, just on the intrigue of what this could possibly be for the Riders roster, is a punter, another global punter, Bailey Flint, added to the roster. This is a guy who's with, what was it, Hamilton?
Yep.
And I mean, Adam Corsack right now is the team's punter, but there's also Joe Couch, great name, and now Bailey Flint. So there's going to be a real competition in training camp for punter.
The real question that this creates is now what are they going to do with the global draft? Because they've got 3 punters. They don't need any more. They're still going to draft 2 of them because that's what you do. But what's the point at that point?
And it's not like they need another kicker because they're also bringing another Canadian kicker into camp. So you don't even – so you already got Lothar. So you don't need How many legs did Jo think he need?
Well, you think
freeze them up to draft. Freeze them up to draft Tommy Wilson when we talked to him at the combine.
Yeah, maybe.
Or Tommy Stevens, as Greg thought it was.
I almost called him. Yeah. We need too many Tommies. Too many Broncos. Too many Tommies.
You're allowed to have one.
Yeah.
It's the no homers club here in Saskatchewan. But it does bring up that question. Well, and where they go with at the global draft. Why not now? And I'll use the air quotes. People listening obviously can't see this, but using the skill players.
Hate that term.
Right, because they're all skilled. But you can go with a positional player instead of just a kicker in the draft. So.
And here's the thing, though, too, with the global draft. And yes, everyone jokes about the kickers, and some teams treat it like a joke. All they do is draft kickers anyway.
100%.
But there are international players coming through NCAA schools. The European League of Football, the ELF, actually has some very good athletes there. That league is expanding. They're getting better athletes, better coaching. Like, there's an opportunity here to actually take players that can play in other positions other than just special teams. And I hope some teams look at it, because look at Habakkuk Baldonado. He's a very good example of could be an every down player in this league. So some teams just need to, well, actually, no, the other teams can do whatever they keep on doing. Jo just needs to look for the diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, keep being serious about it. So that'll be interesting in camp anyway, at least the kicking competition all the way through. So it's very clear that this year is about competition pretty much all across the board. So no one's really set in stone. Kind of know who's going to be the kickers, but you never know, right? And for
I still
talking
want
about
Jo to draft into kicker in like the third or fourth round, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're the one that still wants him to add another kicker, but that's because
Eric Maximovic is getting some buzz, and as he should. But
that guy's got a cannon of a leg.
Oh, it's funny though, because I sent you guys that link. AI can do some nice stuff, and so I had them like rank all the kickers based on their age. You got Calgary and BC, Paredes and White at 39, and then it's us and Winnipeg at 34 with Sergio and Lothar. So if you got a young kid, 23, 24, who's got a cannon of a leg, draft him. And especially a local boy like Maximo could be awesome for this franchise. But
the thing that surprised me most about that list was that Sergio Castillo and Brett Lothar are the same age.
I know, right?
I thought Castillo was in his late 30s, not quite Paredes' age. And for me, Brett Lothar still feels like a 20-year-old kid.
That's because he looks like a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah, he looks like he's 12.
he looks quite young. But he's been around for a long time, right? Like he's been around the CFL this is going to be his 12th.
He was in Hamilton when we won the Grey Cup.
In 2013, yeah. So he's been around for a long time. 13th season coming up.
Does not feel like that.
No, but at that point too, that's when you're starting to look. Okay, I know kickers can go up until, look at some of the great kickers that we've seen. Lou Pasaglia and Paul McCallum got so much better as he aged too, right? So even Sean White is a perfect example of a guy right now. He's unbelievable. Rene Paredes, the most accurate kicker in CFL history, right? So, I mean, you don't necessarily want to move on from a player like that, but you do have to keep that in your back of your mind. So competition is always a great thing, and you can never have, if something happens to Brett Lothar or whatever, you have another guy on the Rolodex, right? But talking about punters here and kickers, going from one punter to another, this is actually kind of cool. Jon Ryan, former Riders punter, of course, going into the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. Of course, winning the Super Bowl. Although I'll still fight that. He didn't do anything that game. Seattle just kicked the crap out of Denver so bad that Jon Ryan was useless in that game. He didn't do it. He didn't deserve it. Okay. Am I still bitter over it? Yes. Just a little bit, maybe. But great halftime show. That was the Bruno Mars,
yes, it was.
Red Hot Chili Peppers halftime show, which was awesome. But I was on a cruise when that happen, so I didn't really care. But local boy Jon Ryan, of course, obviously going into the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame, getting his career started with the Bombers, and we talk about a cannon of a leg. That guy had, oh my goodness, like he was an NFL kicker, playing in the CFL, and it's a different game. Like it's a totally different kicking game in the two leagues, and he was better suited for the NFL.
My favorite, I have two favorite Jon Ryan memories. One was that awesome when the Canadians were winning all the MVPs in the major league, in like the major sports. They did that video with him on TSN about being the Canadian to win the MVP of the NFL. I think it was with Matthew. You don't. Oh, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. It's an amazing video. And they had him with a MVP. Like this is when he was still in Green Bay, and they had him like a sign that said MVP, and just outside Lambeau, MVP.
Yes, I do remember that.
And then they were splicing in the Peyton Manning interview when I think Manning was talking about that loudmouth kicker when he was talking about
Mike Vanderjagt.
Yeah.
Idiot.
But
kicker.
they were making it sound like he was talking about Ryan. It was awesome. And then also his time as a Ram, U of R Ram, because John and I went to U of R at the same time. That's when I was covering the Rams for the Carillon. And people forget he was kicking, punting, and playing wide receiver. Like the dude is an athlete, and
throws one hell of a touchdown pass. Hey, Steve.
I don't want to. No comment. At least he didn't beat my team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, your team doesn't get there.
That is also true.
Not recently.
Been a while. Yeah, been a while. What?
Make the playoffs again, Greg.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. We got rid of our quarterback controversy, but anyway, the fact remains: Jon Ryan's a hell of an athlete, and he played hockey too, and good guy. All the charity work he's done, even when he was in the NFL in Regina and around Regina, couldn't happen to a better guy.
And a gem of a wife too. Like Sarah Colonna is hilarious. Friend of the show, actually. They're great people. So and John's such a super nice, down to earth guy. It's good seeing him get this recognition. So
is this where we make the requisite joke that the reception at the Hall of Fame dinner will be a singles only party? Is that a mandatory Jon Ryan joke?
That's a funny joke. Yes.
Which goes back to Alex's point. He was made better for the NFL than he was in the CFL.
Yep. But pretty cool. So congratulations, Jon Ryan. And that's about it for Rider News. But we're going to have a little bit of fun here on the opening kickoff because the draft is coming up at the end of the month. Don't ask me why. The CFL posted their last 11 number one overall draft picks.
I've got a theory.
I don't know how they settled on 11 as opposed to a nice round number like 10.
I have a theory. They needed to get
one or two. Go ahead.
They had to get Lever or two on that list so it didn't look so bad. Because he's not great. He's not great, but he kind of bumps up the list a bit.
Now, it was also another theory was that you can have all 9 teams in the CFL having a number one overall pick in those 11 years. So that was actually kind of the craziest part to me was when you look back at, how consistently bad, at least over the last few years, Edmonton has been. How good Calgary was for the last decade up until last year, right? Making the playoffs every single year. Never had that number one pick except for in, 2014, but that was due to some trades and whatnot. But every team has had that number one overall pick in the last 11 years. And almost all of them have absolutely failed miserably at picking the guy. So we're going to have some fun. I ranked them. I wrote an article, but let's do that together. So the last 11 draft picks, number one overall. And spoiler alert, this list is hilarious when you realize that Josiah St. John, our pick in 2016, is one of the better ones. We talk about how big of a bust he was. Well, we got some names for you.
He was a bust at number 1. Let's face it.
Yes,
if
of
he
course.
was any other draft pick except maybe 2, like he might have been okay. But the fact that Chris Jones in his first pick to turn this team around thought Josiah St. John was the man, it did not work out well for him.
Especially when we look at who they left on the table.
Well, we'll get to that when his name gets called here. So are we going to start at number 1 at the best, or are we going to start at the worst with number 11? Where do you guys want to
get Hamilton and their 2 picks out of the way first?
Ooh, they have a history of drafting terribly, at least in the first round here. My God. Okay, so here are the last 11 overall picks going from 2014 back. Joel Dublanco, Dante Bull, Tyrell Richards, Jake Burt, Jordan Williams, Shane Richards, Mark Chapman, Faith Ikakati, Josiah St. John, Alex Matias, and Pierre Levertu. And if you're asking who, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the list. So it's completely unlike the NFL where you expect guys to come in and start and be a star and a franchise player right away. The CFL, yeah, not so much. We'll start at number 11. The worst pick in the last 11 years, number 1 overall. Congratulations, Hamilton. You drafted a guy that had no interest in playing football. Wide receiver Mark Chapman. That was number 11 on my list. I think you guys could probably agree on that.
I completely forgot about Chapman. My immediate thought was your number 10, but like I said, I forgot about Chapman. And this is where you look at that video that the Riders posted behind the scenes, and they're kind of showing clips of the interview, but not showing who they are. And they're basically like, are you sure you aren't going to medical school? Like, are you sure like you're not quitting in like 2 years type thing? Didn't anyone ask this guy like, hey, are you sure you play football?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Not here.
Don't say doing your life.
This is a family-friendly show.
I won't say the next line.
The fact that Hamilton traded up to get Mark Chapman only for him to never play a down in the CFL is a perfect example for the number 1 pick in the CFL.
And the best part, so the guy showed up to 1 game in Hamilton, didn't sign a contract, decided, nah, this isn't for me. Signed an NFL contract with the Denver Broncos. Never played, got cut in training camp. He then jumped to the AAF, the American Alliance of Football. Remember that?
That was like with the Redwoods and the Cats, or
I don't even remember.
Las Vegas Locomotives, I believe. I think
they even play a full year. But he never even played in that league. Now Hamilton, their saving grace is that literally no other receiver in this draft class in 2018 amounted to anything. Like
that was a bad draft class for receivers.
Simonized. Marco Dubois was probably the best one. Regis Sibasu, Daniel Peterman, Marcus Davis, Justin Buren, Tyrone Pierre, Etienne Moisan, Harry McMaster, William Watson, and Richmond Nikita.
That is a whole lot of who?
Yeah, those were the receivers in that draft. So congratulations, Hamilton. You at least didn't screw up a receiver pick compared to everybody else. Now on my list, number 10, sticking with Hamilton Tiger Cats, was Regina-born tight end who was supposed to make the tight end a thing again in the CFL, Jake Burt, a guy who had 4 career receptions for 40 yards.
Hebert's going to say the tight end position is not a thing in the CFL yet.
No. 2 catches for 10 yards in his first game, which I think was against the Riders, actually. Had another catch later on in his 2021 season for 25 yards. So that leaves, 5 yards left? So, good job, Jake.
Oh, Bert.
Number 9. And this guy, right when I thought about it, was probably going to be the worst pick, but there was slightly worse than him. Faith Akakati, defensive lineman for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2017. Only played 14 games with Winnipeg, 5 tackles. Tore his Achilles in practice with Montreal just a couple weeks after signing with them, and then that was it. Number 8.
What else are you going to say? That's the 40 yards receiving of the defensive line world. 5 tackles.
You got to have faith.
Got to keep the faith.
They did not.
Number 8 and number 7 also. To be fair to these two guys, the jury is still out because we don't know yet, because these are the last 2 draft picks, the last 2 years. So number 8, I put Joel Dublanco, last year's number 1 overall pick, the linebacker for Edmonton. Played special teams, but he'll get a better chance this year to get a little bit more into the defensive rotation. Although when you look at Edmonton's linebackers with Morgan and the other really good young one that they brought in, and I'm blanking on his name right now. But anyway, they have 2 really good linebackers. I don't know if there's much room for Dublanco to get a lot of playing time.
Well, and here's the thing too: you have to remember the regime that drafted him is not also the regime that's there now. Unfortunately, politics in football, especially at draft picks and guys you care about, you didn't bring a guy in. He's not your guy. So can he work his way into that regime? Probably based on his skill set, but it's an uphill battle. He's not going to have anyone pulling for him. So it should be interesting.
And he was the guy. He was the guy last year that was the absolute consensus number 1. Everybody was talking about him all the way up to the draft, and he was in Edmonton, and everyone was excited. And then you never heard his name. But you got to give him more than 1 year to give him hope. And
every time Greg pours a drink, it sounds like something else.
Sorry, it's right next to my microphone. That's why.
Maybe mute it or hold it.
Either way.
And number 7, Dante Bull, the 2023 draft pick for the Red Blacks, offensive lineman. Again, jury's still out on him. He does still have a chance to turn into an everyday starter. And I mean, it's Canadian offensive linemen. Typically, it takes them a couple years to develop anyway. So to expect a guy to come in and start right away, especially at tackle where this guy was not necessarily fair to him. But the injuries were starting to mount up for him. So hopefully he can stay healthy and get himself a little bit higher on this list next year when the CFL does their last 12 number 1 overall draft picks list.
Yeah, not everyone can be Logan Ferland and come in as a rookie and show out.
Well, to be fair,
that being said, Ferland had 2 years on the practice squad.
Yeah, exactly. He had how many years with the team before then?
Before he could rightfully play.
Now here's where the list starts to get to players that have actually played. At number 6, so Shane Richards, offensive lineman, 2019, Toronto Argonauts. Now he's a free agent. Injuries just derailed his career. They wanted him to be a day 1 starter from 2019. Congratulations to him. He does have a Grey Cup title with the team, but just can't stay healthy, and there's a reason why nobody has signed him.
But as far as number 1 picks goes, he's got almost 50 games under his belt, which is effectively a Hall of Fame career for number 1 picks. I mean, he's at least performed when he's been healthy, just can't stay healthy. And at 29 to be unsigned after starting, I think it was 14 or 16 games last year, is interesting. But
did he start that many? I know he was dressed for that many, but I don't know if he started that many.
That's I thought that's what it said.
You know how hard it is to find stats on offensive linemen.
It said he played
on
in 16
the CFL website, especially.
Oh, the fact that there's any stats on him at all on there is, genius.
Yeah.
But as since we have to say it, your best ability is your availability, and
Yep.
you can't play. You're not going to get paid. It's that simple. So don't get me wrong. If someone loses a offensive lineman early in the season, someone's probably going to give him a call to bring him in and see if he's healthy, and that's why you do physicals. So
Averaging less than 10 games a year in your career is not a good resume.
I mean,
we airlifted a guy in for one game last year. I'm certain we can get one game out of Shane Richards if we had
if
to.
Brandon Council can get a game check, there's no reason why Shane Richards can't. Number 5, and this is, of course, on my list. I put Josiah St. John here, the Riders' number 1 overall pick in 2016. Now, again, Greg, I referenced this in my article too, and you just said it, was Chris Jones's first draft pick. Supposed to be the guy to anchor the line kind of thing. Red flags right off the bat for him, because in his senior year, what was it, Oklahoma, I think it was, got beat out by a rookie or by a freshman in a starting position. So typically in college, that should not happen. And it did with Josiah. But he did have, I mean, once they actually moved him to guard, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't very good either. But he did stay on rosters for a few years and then ended up, what year was it 2021 that Jeremy O'Day signed him again? Yeah. And I had that, I actually wrote about that. It was a desperate move by Jeremy O'Day to bring him back, but that was after he lost Blake and
Bladek.
It was 2020 actually.
2020, yeah. So
yeah,
wouldn't have mattered.
And then
anyway,
signed a 1-year extension for 2021.
Year 21.
Yeah.
But everyone knew
still playing, which is funny because he's with Team Canada. Team Canada has a football team.
Yes, they do. But like everyone knew Jones was going to go offensive lineman there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like literally a couple weeks before the draft, all of a sudden JSJ's name started popping up everywhere going, hey, this is a guy. Like, this guy's coming up everyone's chart. And I'm like, Brandon Revenberg's right there. Like, he's good and proven. But Chris Jones likes his big guys. Like, if you're huge, chances are Chris Jones is going to find a spot for you.
Yep. In fairness, Chris Jones probably planned to move him to receiver or something.
That worked out well for AC Leonard. But AC Leonard was a receiver and then moved to DE. But what makes that Josiah St. John pick even worse was the fact that number 2 and 3 in the draft were Philippe Gagnon and Brendan Revenberg. So if you're going to go lineman, either one of those would have been a much better pick. And of course, Alex Singleton was still there. He was drafted 6th overall by the Stamps in that draft. So
he did okay for himself, I think.
Just a little bit. Denver Broncos great, Alex Singleton.
And at least the Riders righted that wrong by bringing in Philippe Gagnon this offseason. Took him 10 years, but...
How is this becoming a Denver Broncos podcast? Because I think we've talked about them more than the Riders today.
Stan Page. I got it right here. I got a little mini helmet signed by Alex Singleton.
I don't remember his CFL days at all. Those didn't happen.
Man, he was one of the best interviews we've ever had, was Alex Singleton. That's a guy that was a star, should have been a bigger star in the CFL just based off promotion. Just a great human being was what he was, what he is. So and it helped that he was a very damn good football player who translated that into a pretty solid NFL career so far. So
and say what you want about the Canadian rules and the loophole that got him his Canadian citizenship, so to speak. But the fact remains is, you're right, he was really good at football. And even though I hated playing against him, like it is completely the Anchorman meme where I'm holding him by a ladder, telling him how much I hate him, but not letting him fall because, damn it, I respect him. Because great football player and a great person off the field.
And the guy, I'm just reading, he ruptured his ACL last year in Denver and still played the entire rest of the game.
Yeah. He's a machine.
So he's not human in any sense.
And then quickly, just to kind of finish off the list here. Number 4, I put Pierre Levertu. He was the Stamps pick in 2014. Only played in 3 seasons before retiring because of injuries, but he did have a Grey Cup ring, and he was a division all-star. So you have those in 2 years, all of a sudden that makes you one of the best Canadian draft picks, number 1 overall. So number 3, I put linebacker Terrell Richards, the 2022 pick for the Montreal Alouettes. Now, again, a couple years already, could be positioned for a much bigger role this year. Hasn't gotten a lot of playing time. Nothing. His stats aren't going to jump out at you. Interception, a sack. Does have a touchdown as well, and he has a Grey Cup ring. So because of the touchdown, I put that ahead of Pierre Levertu. Number 2, and I struggled with this one. I thought this might have been the number 1 on my list just for playing for 5 seasons. Was offensive lineman Alex Matias, 2015 pick for Ottawa. Only played 5 seasons. Felt like he was around for a while. Maybe it was because we kept on adding him on our Riders should target him in free agency list.
Probably that sounds about right. Yeah.
Won a Grey Cup with Ottawa in 2016, and then was a 2-time East Division All-Star 2017 and 2018. So not a bad career by any means in those 5 years. Grey Cup, 2 divisional All-Stars. Just short career, unfortunately. Just 5 years.
Like you said, though, that's a theme throughout this list.
And then number 1, Jordan Williams, linebacker, the 2020 pick for the BC Lions. Obviously didn't play in 2020, but came out of the gates in 2021, broke Mike O'Shea's record for most tackles by a rookie Canadian player, and won the most outstanding rookie award. So basically for that reason alone, has an individual award, had another good year in 2022. That's why I put him at number 1. Was okay in 2023 when he got traded to the Argonauts. But that was it. After that, to come full circle, got traded to Hamilton, decided, nah, I'm okay. So he pulled the Mark Chapman route and retired shortly after getting traded to Hamilton.
So just number 1 picks in Hamilton means bad.
Yeah.
Is what we're learning from this. If you have the number 1 pick and Hamilton is involved in any way, just save us all the trouble and retire.
Yeah. So things we learned about this: don't get the number 1 overall pick. If you get it, trade it away right away. Do not draft anybody with that pick.
Unless you're Calgary, take it this year. Just
Yes.
yeah, you want that first overall pick, Dave.
Yeah. Ideally, you want around that 5-6 range. That seems to be pretty good. Those guys seem to turn out pretty okay. So Riders have the 4th pick, so we should be safe. We should at least get a guy that hopefully plays a couple of years. So we'll do some more fun draft stuff leading up to the draft. I want to look back at some of the gems that the Riders have, I don't want to say stolen in mid to late rounds, but we'll do something like that, and
There's some good
best
ones.
Rider picks, and we'll have some fun.
Does
with
that
the Riders.
list start and end with a Joe?
He's
KSB.
on the list. KSB's in there. Depending on how training camp goes for him, if he makes the roster, Deshaun Mims could be on there. Kevin Francis might even be on that list. He was an 8th round
Best
pick.
8th overall pick.
Yeah. We had the other guy. Who was the other 8th overall pick? He was a receiver, played a little bit,
Jordan
had a
Sisko.
couple 100 yards.
Jordan
No,
Sisko.
No, actually,
Well, it definitely was not Jordan Sisko.
Ah,
no. This was Joshua
flanker.
Stanford.
Yeah, Josh
Josh
Stanford.
Stanford. Yeah, he might be on the list too.
I'm pretty sure Jordan Sisko was an 8th overall pick.
Well, 8th overall, yeah.
Oh,
I'm talking
overall.
8th
We were
round.
talking 8th round, sorry.
Oh, you guys said 8th overall. That's my bad. Wait, that's your bad. I was literally listening for once.
You should know better than to trust us.
I should.
That is, therefore, it's your fault.
I accept that.
That's the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty. Time for Remember That Guy. sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. And after Rocky Butler, I've been terrible at this. So, Greg,
I'm here to redeem you guys. I
Okay.
think this is like a 2. I think this is a 2 Vanstone question.
Oh,
Okay.
God. So
And
when
the
I get it
scale
wrong,
goes-
it's going to look that
the
much
scale
worse.
goes to 5 Vanstones, right? 5 Vanstones.
Yeah, 1 to 5. This is
1
like
to
a
5,
2. I think it might be a 1, but Steve's in here, so I'm shading this a little hard.
That's fair.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
see who you got for Remember That Guy.
Okay. Played 9 years in the CFL.
Ooh.
So obviously he was not drafted by Hamilton.
He was not drafted first overall. Yeah. It's not Shamari Williams.
Signed by the Chargers and the Steelers. Grey Cup champion. Drafted first overall in the CFL draft. So there you go. Missed you out. Nothing yet?
Chargers.
38 sacks, 178 tackles, 4 fumble recoveries in his time with the Riders. No? Okay. Was team captain at North
38
Dakota.
sacks with the Riders.
35 sacks,
35 sacks.
178
with the Riders.
tackles. Was team captain at North Dakota. Nothing yet?
Oh,
All right,
my-
this one's easily going to give it away. Was a Central Cyclone out of the great city of Moose Jaw.
Yeah. Scott Schultz.
Bingo.
Huh. Should have gone with the retired halfway through the season with no notice.
Yeah.
In fairness, his insurance business has been probably more lucrative than his entire CFL career.
Apparently, he's not
Yeah.
hard to get a hold of anymore. He used to be like impossible to try to get on the sports shows, and I think he's been on Sports Cage a few times recently.
I wouldn't know. He showed the day he was supposed to be on with me and Barney, which led us to filibustering about Mosaic shows.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought you were making a joke about his attendance there. Like that's literally the opposite of that.
Man,
That's when we learned Barney has no taste in music.
He's got no taste in co-hosts either, because he's going to have Greg and I on this Friday.
Uh-oh. Piffles radio is becoming a thing.
Radio. Some of us can do it, apparently.
Apparently.
This is going to be weird for me to jump back in a radio station for the first time in 3 years.
basically doing Piffles without Steve.
I like the trial and error here by Barney asking me to come on too, because if I suck, at least he has Greg to fall back on as a co-host. First segment comes and he's like, "Nah, Alex, you might as well just leave." Cool.
Yeah,
I feel a little hurt by this. I feel a little left out in the
find
cold.
I still find it funny though, because the first time me and him met was that first show I did, and we had no idea if it was going to work or not. So
We still don't know either.
we still don't know. We're still trying. We're still trying to figure it out. But anyways, yeah, back to Schultz. I figured the first overall, after talking about how bad they were, let's talk about one that was really good.
I forgot he was the first overall pick.
I think
For the Riders.
I was trying to think of defensive ends was what I was thinking of. And I was like, well, I know that's not Shamari. So that's what kind of just threw me off for a little bit. And then, yeah, once he said Moose Jaw, I was like, okay, yeah, duh. But man, Scott Schultz, was he ever just a beast in the middle? Him and Nate Davis together in the middle. Not that the guys outside on like at ends weren't talented, because they had some great defensive ends. Terrell Jeremiak had a couple good years. Fred Perry was incredible for a few seasons. John Chick, of course.
Stevie Baggs.
But that line that year,
Schultz and with Chick and Bags and everybody in the that middle, Chunky and Scott.
If we ever did a ranking of best defensive lines in CFL history, that one might be up there.
You had two guys on the ends that were legitimate, both contenders for Defensive Player of the Year, and one guy was pissed off that he didn't get it because the other guy got it. That's how good they were.
And that's
And the
tells you how
guy that got
competitive
it
that
turned
team
it
is.
into a decent NFL career.
Yeah.
And the other guy went on a reality show.
Yep.
But
Shakespeare.
like, yeah, Schultz was awesome and great quote. Like one of my favorite quotes is him before a game talking. I think it was the playoff game, like the first home playoff game in forever. And it was like how anxious he was, and it was something like, I'm as anxious as Chuck Norris ready to fight a bunch of ninjas.
I'll never forget the 2007 Grey Cup. And after the Riders won, and of course, they're interviewing players on the field after. I still remember this. I was at my buddy's Tom's house, and this was before we hit the Green Mile. Watching some of the interviews after, and the look of just sheer giddiness on the face of Scott Schultz when they were bringing the Grey Cup, when the Mounties were bringing the Grey Cup to the stage. And he goes, look at that thing right there. Look at that. It was just all starting to hit him that he gets to raise that in like a matter of minutes. He'll probably tell you that was one of the greatest days of his life was winning the Grey Cup in 2007. But seeing a guy like, especially the local guys, like we love that here. Seeing the local guy live out his dream and be such a huge impact player as well too. And then you see him just kind of, humanized a little bit by just seeing his face, just as simple as that, just being so happy. So, Matt, Scott Schultz was a beauty.
I look forward to them panning in on Logan Ferland's face and us getting a repeat of that after we win the cup this year.
My favorite part of that entire Grey Cup presentation, and you can see it if you look at the old clips, there's a snowbird sticker on the bottom of the Grey Cup. Schultz snuck that on there when they gave him the cup.
Really?
Yeah. If you can find it in some shots of the pictures of them raising the cup, and there's a snowbird sticker on the bottom of the Grey Cup. Schultz snuck a snowbird sticker on the bottom of it.
Yep.
I had no
I'll
idea.
see if I can find it, and I'll retweet it if I can find it.
That is awesome. That's a cool story. Well, maybe we'll get lucky and he might be on the Sports Cage this Friday. I have no idea who's on the Sports Cage that we're hosting.
I never know until
maybe we can get him on and maybe we could talk about that. That'd be cool.
I'm not that much in the inner circle yet.
But man, he was unbelievable. So there's Scott Schultz on Remember That Guy. And yeah, we're all going to remember that guy. He was, that's a Plaza guy. Like he's one of the best riders that we've ever seen. Well, thanks for making it easier this week, Greg. I appreciate that. I feel a little bit better about myself, even though it took me till the very end.
Like the moose jaw.
I feel terrible about
first
myself
overall
now.
pick. They
Thanks.
gotta get it by
Well,
then.
I had no idea that he signed. I just completely forgot that he signed in the NFL.
Yeah, his first two seasons with the Riders are only half seasons. He signed with San Diego the first season and Pittsburgh the second season. He only played 9 games his first 2 CFL seasons. And then, I thought the North Dakota one was also a gimme. I'm certain. No, Van Stone's probably going to get that
Probably in
the
2.
first over. Yeah, he'll get it like 3.
Yeah.
I already texted him the answer. He knows it.
Van Stone's a cheat code. Well, let's get to our Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones. Again, Banjo Bowl bus going on. You want to go with us. Send us a message and we'll go to the Banjo Bowl. So early bird pricing still available for about another month. $425 per person for 2 nights, and accommodations, rides, tickets, all that stuff, plus all the great prizes, which we're giving away a free customized rider jersey to somebody on that bus. So one hell of a prize to give away. So the Banjo Bowl bus trip presented by Engelheim Tours and District 306. If you want to go, let us know. Last week, we talked about the potential of Stuart Johnston being named the CFL commissioner, as is the prophecy. Usually, the CFL's got to be taking PR lessons from the Riders right now by just announcing this the day after we record our show.
Not even the day after, the morning after.
Yeah, like very early. I think it was like 8 a.m.
And the funny thing is, typically I used to hold off posting the show, so our show was up maybe like barely 8 hours. Typically, it used to roll out like 5 a.m. So, like, come on, Randy, Don't do this to us on your way out.
Stuart Johnston, the former TSN president, now named the CFL commissioner. Cool. Got a new guy in charge. I don't know what else to say other than like, let's see what happens. We'll see him at the draft. He'll be the one that's presenting because Randy's done on, I think it was the 24th was his final day. So with the CFL draft happening on the 29th, we'll get a look there at Stuart Johnston in his first maybe like real official act, at least public wise, as CFL commissioner.
What I like, he's, I don't want to say Randy was old or the commissioners have been old. Like Marco Hoan was young for a commissioner of a league.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Johnston is around 50. I think I saw like early 50s, if anything. So like to me, that's still young because God knows I'm in my mid 40s. But
can't relate.
The factor, the fact remains is everyone from TSN talked, like everyone was tweeting out about how passionate he is about the CFL. So here's hoping that he can carry that forward and be that infectious voice that many fans feel disenfranchised for. And not that Randy was terrible about sharing his love for the game. It's just, I think I saw it written the best is he had a great vision. He just wasn't a very good communicator of it. So hopefully Johnston can learn from Randy's mistakes.
I mean, it's different when all the cameras are on you, right? So, I mean,
And
sorry, go ahead, Steve.
if you look at the things that TSN employees have been saying since they announced his official signing, I was kind of on the fence about this, but there is a lot of positivity coming out of the TSN world about what Stuart Johnston has done for TSN, what kind of person he is. And yes, a lot of people aren't going to crap talk the boss on the way out the door either.
And that's, to me, that's exactly it, right? Like, of course, all the TSN guys are going to say that's a huge loss for TSN. It's a great gain for the CFL. Of course, they're going to say that. But literally everybody's saying that. So there's got to be some truth to it, right?
That's just it. It's some people would have been silent if it wasn't, at least if there wasn't some semblance of truth to what they're saying. And that kind of got me a little bit pumped about it. It made me think that maybe this is the right hire at the right time, especially with the media deal, the TV deal coming due at the end of the year, or is it the end of next year?
Next year.
Right? Like this is a big time for the CFL, and to have somebody that's really understanding of the media market can only mean good things, in my opinion.
So we'll see what he's made of. Other headlines across the CFL: tailgating being allowed in Ottawa for some of their Saturday home games. Hey, Rough Riders,
it's better than what we got.
Yeah, come on, proper tailgates. Let's have them. I know you got the party in the park, but
there's no parking lot right near the stadium that's wide open that they could use. They could never do this in Saskatchewan.
No.
I would love it. It would be fantastic. That's the best part of going to, like, honestly, I don't care about the stadium in Winnipeg. I don't even care about the game. I love walking around for 2 hours before the Banjo Bowl and seeing what is actually tailgating going on. That's fun. That's how you attract the younger market. That's what they all see on TV when they're watching the NFL. That's what they want to experience. Oh,
well, in Ottawa has, and this the setup at Lansdowne Park that Ottawa has with the bars right there, like you can make that a great party atmosphere, especially on a Saturday night. So, again, I say, hey, Riders, yeah, yeah.
That is one announcement we will not expect tomorrow morning.
Not going to happen, no. If it is, my goodness, I'm going to check the calendar and see if it's actually April 1st. But they also, I think, was it Montreal? Maybe it was Ottawa. No, Ottawa announced their theme games for the upcoming season, which means the Riders have got to be announcing theirs. That'll be the announcement tomorrow.
They announced theirs last year.
Renaming Prairie Pride.
Yeah. What other kind of name?
What other Western theme can we have so it's not the same thing every year?
Can they outdo the Stampede Bowl and Bret Michaels for halftime show, though?
Yes.
That's a pretty
Kim
good
Mitchell.
get.
Kim Mitchell, baby. Oh. I hope the sarcasm came across. I'm still angry about that.
Be nice to Kim. He was just doing his rock and roll duty.
Ah,
Yeah.
Stop it.
easy. He's gonna go for a soda.
Yeah. But anyway,
Well, okay, okay. Let's speak of the Stampede Bowl. I want to just slight left turn here.
Sure.
Smart. Okay, good marketing or just blatant marketing, creating a bowl game that's not really a bowl game.
The Banjo Bowl. I love this for Calgary. So I lived in Calgary for a year and a half. Hate the Stampede. I could not be bothered to go near there. Just no, it's too fake. It's too phony. I hated it. Still do. Will not go to Calgary during Stampede ever. Couldn't pay me to do that. That said, I know the people there friggin' love it. They love Stampede. Even if you're not, a cowboy or a cowgirl, you love Stampede. You go there. They bring in great names for concerts. It's a huge thing. It's not just something that's just put on for a week. This is a full-time gig for people, is to plan the Stampede. It's a multi-million-dollar, like they bring in millions upon millions of dollars every single year. So it's a huge thing. So to finally tie in a CFL game with the Stampede, because CSEC or CSEG, whatever they are, the Calgary Sports and Entertainment Group, have always wanted to avoid the Stampede with a Stampeders game. Always wanted to. Even though they're on opposite ends of the city, you can still get to all the venues by the C train. Like, it's super easy. To tie something in is so long overdue. And when the team is having dwindling attendance, worse than we've seen in just about any other market in the CFL, this should hopefully generate some buzz again in the CFL in Calgary. So if they can tie this in and have something big happen, obviously Bret Michaels to perform at halftime, that's a very good thing. And that's the kind of marketing ideas that these teams need to have. So I'm a big fan of this.
Oh, I agree that you should tie it in. I just find it weird they're making it a bowl game with a trophy.
The real question with the trophy is if the other team wins it, will they be allowed to touch it? Because the Riders have never seen the Banjo Bowl trophy when we win.
I'd have to look at the schedule. Isn't it Winnipeg that they're playing? I guarantee
it
you.
is.
Yeah,
It's
Winnipeg will
100%.
take the trophy. Of course they will.
Oh yeah, they'll
Willie Jefferson will grab it. He'll be running. He'll be the only one that cares about it. He'll be running down. He'll throw on he has cowboy hats. I know he does.
Yeah, he does.
He'll throw on a cowboy hat and whatnot. So
You think for the first one they're going to make a big deal, even if Winnipeg wins? They'll make a big deal of it.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
We've always said, and this is one thing I was told in radio, everything you do needs to be the biggest thing you do. Have purpose. Everything should be a huge thing. And I talk about it every time we talk marketing here with the CFL. Make everything the biggest thing. The combine should be a huge event. Should be. Just make it bigger than it is, right?
Make it matter. Just make
Yeah,
it
exactly. Because if you show that you care, other people will start to care. So great for the CFL the Calgary Stampeders owners, right, to finally make something happen here. So don't avoid a big, huge event. Like, I don't want to call it an international event, but it kind of is an international event.
Is. It absolutely is.
Yeah. So get more eyes on your product. They're selling ticket packages where you get the ticket to the football game plus other events for the Stampede. Like, it seems pretty no-brainer to me, right? Like the fact that it hasn't happened before, that's the baffling part to me. But better late than never, I guess. And one other thing in the CFL I want to make mention of, and I hate to give the Winnipeg Blue Bombers any props for anything.
I just want to say thank you for copying our idea.
Yeah.
Unoriginal bastards.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Ooh,
Winnipeg-
lawn signs. Wonder where that came from.
So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are giving away to season ticket holders proudly Canadian lawn signs, which to me is great. Obviously, with the political landscape and people in Canada being more patriotic now more than ever, wanting to buy more Canadian products and focus more on Canada, which is great. Lawn signs for season ticket holders, and $10 if you're a non-season ticket holder to buy one of these things. It's one of those things that it's cheap to produce those lawn signs. We were able to raise a few $100 for charity with the Roland Milligan for MOP signs. So when you're Winnipeg and you have, a better marketing team than we do at the Piffles Podcast, not by much, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
They have a little bit more money in their budget. But to
They
do
have a
something like
budget?
this, this is something though that maybe every team can probably, jump on right now.
Especially the sentiment, like the radically Canadian marketing campaign that they did in the 90s. Like, this is a good time to, I don't want to say fully revive it, but do something similar. Canadian
Rourke.
patriotism is through the roof.
Nathan
now.
Rourke was wearing that radically Canadian T-shirt on a interview in BC.
And I want to say we brought the logo back. You're welcome, everybody.
But
Everybody just copying us.
Yeah, everyone's just
All about
copying.
us.
That's all they're doing. You know what sells? Piffles. That's what sells, guys. Piffles.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what it is.
Given where the world is right now and how important Canadiana is and our national pride, the entire CFL needs to be jumping on this, and they need to be making everything about the Canadian part of the Canadian Football League. Highlight the Canadian players, highlight the cities they're in, the teams that play, the fans, everything about Canada that you can highlight right now.
the weird ass rules that we have.
Exactly.
Oddball Canadian rules for the
All
win.
about the Rouge. They need to be highlighting all of this. They needs to be jumping on that. There's an obvious, simple marketing opportunity that I'm surprised they haven't already jumped all over from the league itself.
Just replay the our game video before every game. That thing gives me goosebumps every time. I go every
that was
CFL season
fantastic.
and watch that. Huh?
That was fantastic.
Oh, beautiful. And I get goosebumps every time I watch it because it is so well done. It's one of the best pieces of video this league has ever put out. And find a way to redo something like that. Just drill into that Canadiana, that nostalgia, what this league can be, what that league was, what that league is, and just insert it into people's veins, and you'll have a fan base.
There you go, Lucas with the CFL. If you're listening, and I know sometimes you do, answer my email too, Lucas. Maybe I'll text you instead. But this is a marketing thing. Come on, it's easy. It's simple. Like, if the three idiots here can figure it out, I don't know why a boardroom of people that have a wealth of expertise can't.
A few MBAs and a bunch of other stuff, and we're just three meatballs chatting on the old chat box.
It's kind of been radio silence from the league for the last, other than the draft itself or the combine, there's been nothing in this last month or so that makes you really feel that Canadian pride. It's shocking to me.
Well, they're getting a little bit better right now, just with the draft and putting out, I think they had a highlight video of Sam Emelis posted, and I think they just did Justin McInnes today. So they're putting some stuff out there, but it needs to be it needs to be brash in your face. It needs to be Canadian, right? Like, here's the Canadian draft. The next draft is April 29th. Okay, cool. But doesn't really get me all that jazzed up for it.
The worst. I kind of wish, like, at least the first round, you actually had the players that were there, so you can like do that, like pose with a jersey photo, like shot, and then show them like playing in the league. Like, imagine having like Henoch Mwamba there with his jersey, and then you show him just destroying guys. That type of thing. Like, I wish, but I understand cost and all that. You can't do that in the CFL. 100% get it, but it's just optics. Like you said, make everything seem more important than it is, or show that means something, and people will buy in. But
and with that, we'll leave it there, because we could talk about marketing for hours, and we have,
and we have, and we will. It's going to come up again.
Continue to do it until they start doing something about it.
Nothing gets us angry quite like the marketing job at the CFL.
Or bikes.
Bikes is up there.
That's a month away. Training camps.
Greek food. That's also up there.
I had Greek food today, actually. Fantastic. Actually, I forgot to say too. Going back to the tailgating thing, you know what we should do is actually have a tailgate at the DQ across the street from the stadium. We should have a tailgate there sometime.
I'll have our people reach out to their people.
Blizzards for everyone. You got to pay for them yourself, but there'll be blizzards for everybody.
Yes.
And with that, Piffles Podcast is brought to you by Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. Now that it's super nice outside, get out there, go get some ice cream. Special thanks, of course, to Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience, and Bigfoot Vodka for their support making everything Piffles Podcast happen. Thanks for listening and watching on SaskTel Max TV on demand and on YouTube. This is Ghost Behind Your Mind by Tyler Gilbert.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.